Have you ever wondered why some people achieve incredible things without talking about them, while others talk about their dreams for years and never seem to get anywhere? What if the very act of telling everyone your plans is the reason they never happen? This is the story of two neighbors and a garden that changed an entire village. In a peaceful village surrounded by green hills lived a young man named Rohan. Rohan had a gift. He could make any dream sound exciting. Whenever he had a new idea, he told everyone about it. One day, the village chief announced something special. A grand garden festival would be held at the end of the year. The person who grew the most beautiful garden would receive a silver trophy and be honored before the entire village. The moment Rohan heard the news, his eyes lit up. This is my chance, he thought. The very next morning, he walked through the village square. I'm going to create the most beautiful garden this village has ever seen, he shouted. People stopped to listen. What will it look like? Someone asked. Rohan smiled. There will be rows of red roses, golden sunflowers, colorful lilies, and a fountain in the center. The villagers were impressed. What a wonderful idea. You will surely win. Your garden sounds amazing. Rohan felt proud. As he walked home, he imagined everyone admiring his garden. That night, he couldn't stop smiling. The praise felt wonderful. But the next morning, something strange happened. Instead of working in the field, he spent hours planning. Then he spent more hours talking about his ideas. By evening, he had planted only a few seeds. Across the road lived another young man named Kiran. Kiran had also entered the competition, but nobody knew. He told no one. Every morning before sunrise, he walked quietly to his small piece of land. He loosened the soil. He planted seeds. He carried water from the well, day after day, week after week. No announcements, no speeches, no audience, just work. Meanwhile, Rohan continued sharing his vision with anyone who would listen. Whenever new villagers arrived, he described his future garden. Every time people praised him, he felt excited. For a few moments, it almost felt as if he had already succeeded. Months passed. The rainy season arrived. Small green shoots began appearing in Kiran's field. He protected them carefully. When weeds appeared, he removed them. When insects attacked, he saved the plants. When storms came, he repaired the damage. The work was hard. Sometimes he felt tired. Sometimes he felt discouraged. But he kept going. Because nobody knew about his goal, nobody expected anything from him. There was only the garden and the work. One evening, an old gardener named Devapa was passing through the village. He noticed something unusual. Rohan was standing in the marketplace talking about flowers. Kiran was kneeling in the dirt, pulling weeds. Devapa smiled quietly. A few days later, he approached Rohan. "My son," he said, "how is your garden growing?" Rohan proudly described everything he planned to build. The old gardener listened patiently. Then he asked a simple question. "Show me." Rohan hesitated. When they reached the field, there was very little to see. A few scattered plants, large empty spaces, dry patches of soil. The old man said nothing. Instead, he walked across the road to Kiran's field. The moment they arrived, Rohan stopped. Rows of healthy plants stretched across the land. Flowers were beginning to bloom. Butterflies floated through the air. The garden was alive. Rohan felt his stomach sink. How had this happened? They had started at the same time. Later that evening, Rohan asked the old gardener, "Why is his garden thriving while mine barely exists?" The old man picked up a watering can and handed it to him. Then he said something Rohan would never forget. Flowers do not grow from conversations. Rohan remained silent. The old gardener continued, "Every time you told people about your garden, they praised you. You enjoyed that feeling. Your mind received a reward before the work was done. My son, when you share your plans too early, your mind becomes weak. It starts enjoying the praise and imagination of success as if it has already happened. And once your mind feels satisfied, it stops pushing you to work for it. That's why you should not talk about your plans early. Protect them, work on them silently, and let your results speak." The old gardener pointed toward Kiran's field. He protected his dream. He fed it with effort. While you were collecting praise, he was collecting progress. That night, Rohan could not sleep. He thought about all the hours he had spent talking, all the plans, all the promises, all the applause, and almost no action. For the first time, he understood the difference between dreaming and doing. The next morning, he made a decision. He stopped talking about the competition. He stopped explaining his plans. He stopped seeking approval. Instead, he went to his field every day, without fail. He watered, he planted, he removed weeds, he learned, he improved. Slowly, the garden began to change. The work was not exciting every day. Some days were boring, some days were exhausting, but something unexpected happened. For the first time in his life, he began enjoying the process itself. Not the praise, not the attention, the work. Months later, the festival finally arrived. Villagers gathered from every corner of the region. They walked through dozens of gardens. When they reached Kiran's garden, they were amazed. When they reached Rohan's garden, they were surprised. It was beautiful. Not because he had talked about it, because he had worked for it. Kiran won first place. Rohan finished second. Years earlier, that result would have disappointed him. But this time, he smiled, because he had learned something more valuable than a trophy. He had learned how success is actually built, one flower at a time, one day at a time, one quiet effort at a time. Years later, both men became known for their magnificent gardens. But villagers noticed something curious. Neither of them talked much about future plans. They simply worked. And somehow their gardens kept getting better. Now think about your own life. How many dreams have you announced before they were ready? How many goals have disappeared after the excitement faded? How many times have you mistaken talking for progress? Remember this. A garden does not bloom because people admire the seeds. It blooms because someone waters them every day. Protect your dreams. Work on them quietly. Let your effort grow roots before you seek attention. And one day, when your garden finally blooms, you won't need to tell anyone. The flowers will do the talking for you.